I've become more comfortable with the discomfort of not knowing.
Okay, so my first question to you is what made you want to be a children's youth minister?
Oh, so, well, that's a really good question. I started here as the music director, and before I was here, I was an elementary music teacher, and I always thought it was the music part that was going to be the kind of my path in life.
Yeah.
And so about 2008, 2009, I was starting to get kind of a little crispy. I didn't know if that's what I should keep doing was music. And I talked to my dear friend on the staff here who was Cynthia, and she said, "Have you ever thought about children's ministry?" And I said, "No, no, I wouldn't want to do that." And then I thought about it and talked to my wife about it. She said, "Would you even want to do that?" I said, "No." So the next day I went and asked Cynthia, I said, "So tell me about what you do that's the stuff we don't see." And she goes, "Why, are you interested?" I said, "No." And so she told me, and I just kept mulling it. And so it was several weeks later, and it was Ash Wednesday, and we had what was called a labyrinth. This kind of looks like a maze, but there's just one way in, one way out, and it's this path that you walk, and you can pray or just think or contemplate. And I had something to actually contemplate. Am I supposed to be a children's minister? God, is that what you want for my life, is to be a children's minister? Because I don't think so. And so I'm walking the labyrinth, and I'm thinking about that question, am I supposed to be a children's minister? I get to the center of the labyrinth, and there are all these tiles that I would learn later had words like joy and peace. And I turned one over, and it said yes.
I remember this story.
And yeah, and I'm like, okay. And I started crying right there, and I'm like, okay, I hear you. And I know that God's not some magic 8-ball, like you just,
Yeah.
I'll look cloudy, try again later.
Gotta
But
have that relationship.
yeah, but it was God hit me on the back of the head with a 2x4 saying, "Buddy, this is what you're supposed to do." And so the next day I went into Cynthia, I said, "Let's do it." And never looked back. And that was, gosh, over 14 years ago now that I've started doing that. Yeah.
You know, my second question was originally, were there any hardships you faced when you chose this job? But you answered that perfectly.
Yeah.
And I think this will lead into, because I'm allowed to jump around.
Okay.
Do you struggle with faith at all, if you want to share?
Oh, sure. I think, the honest truth is that's what's
The next question is what reassures that. So if you want to go
okay,
with
sure.
that.
I think it's one of the things that's actually made me good at my job. The way I like to explain it is sometimes the really best athletes make the worst coaches because they don't know how to break it down because it just always comes so naturally for them. And who are some of the best coaches? I think about, like, who are your best baseball managers? It's usually some, backup catcher who just maximized whatever little ability they had to make the most of it, so they know how to maximize that ability in others. I guess I think about my own faith journey like that, and so yes, I do struggle, and I ask hard questions, and I ask God hard questions, and I've become more comfortable with the discomfort of not knowing. I think that's where faith comes in. It's not knowing, it's trusting, and but I always tell kids one of my very favorite people in the Bible was Thomas. They call him Doubting Thomas. I think that's an unfair nickname because all of them doubted.
Yeah.
But he was like the original MythBuster. He dared to ask questions. He dared to say,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'm not sure," and Jesus was very gracious and forgiving. And I hope that that's the case with me. And so whenever I sit with kids who are really exploring the deep questions of faith, they're so often questions that I've processed myself. So yeah, the honest answer is yes. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I have some questions about how you would guide a young person struggling with that.
Okay,
So
let's go for
my
it.
next
Yes.
question is, if you could reassure someone struggling there with their faith, what would you say? This has actually hit home for me because I was like, I struggle with faith a lot. I'm still struggling if I want that life, but coming here
Sure.
was the big.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I guess it's if you were to tell me. What would
Yeah.
you say?
So I think the first thing I would do is listen. Tell me your story. What are you going through? Where do you feel hurt? Where do you feel um, that you're struggling? And say it's okay to struggle. I think sometimes people in my position can feel pressure to have like a magic bow to put on something, or a just right scripture that puts it all in place, and that's just not the way it works. And so sometimes the thing that the only thing I know how to do is to sit with someone else when they're hurting, try to make it better, not try to fix it. Not that you need fixing. You didn't need you don't need fixing. But just to sit with people and listen. I think listening is the most important thing I
So
can
like
do.
lending a shoulder.
Yeah. And then if there are times in my life or things I experience that I think I can share with someone that maybe they would find helpful, I can do that.
In your work, how do you guide young people with the challenges they may face in their life? Because I know there's various struggles other than just faith. It's
Sure.
maybe they have a bad home life, or maybe they're just mentally not well.
Yeah, so every challenge is unique. It's itself. There are certain things that are core when I'm working with children and families, and that are really important. If let's say a child, I call them the hard D's of childhood. The dark, for a young child in particular, can be really scary. Death, they start to ask questions about that, or they've experienced the death of a pet or a loved one. Divorce, maybe their family's going through that. And diagnosis, when they or someone in their family receives an unfortunate health news. And so one of the most important things to assure a young person is that it's not their fault, not the divorce of their parents, a diagnosis of a loved one, because young people can be really consequence oriented and think, oh, if I had just called Nana more often, then the doctor wouldn't have told her that. And that's how sometimes kids think that way. And so to assure them that it wasn't their fault, to assure them that the people who love them are going to love them and their needs are going to be taken care of. As Mr. Rogers would say during hard times, look for the helpers. There will always be people who are helping. And then just to listen to the child. Sometimes children, they can't tell you how they're feeling, but they can show you how they're feeling. And there's lots of techniques, whether it's drawing a picture or working with clay, or I have something called listening stones.
I remember that.
Yeah, and just sitting and just trying to listen to them, and again, not trying to fix them or say, all right, now let's make you happy. That's not the way faith works. That's not the way humans work. And one thing I'll tell parents is, I'm not here to fix your child, but I can sit and be sad with them, or we can be angry together. I'm just here to be another person in their world who cares about them.
When you're with a child and you see that moment of understanding or connection with something that happens to be bigger than themselves, what does that feel like for you? What does it teach you?
Whoa, what a question. Oh, will you ask that again? I want to make sure I get this right.
So if it's like, let's say something bigger than themselves, like a bigger concept, like let's say God, something big about God that is not really answered or something. What does that feel like for you? Just knowing that they're like achieving that same level that you didn't expect them to go, like they're going beyond.
Yeah. Oh, the first word that comes to my mind is the word humbling. Yeah, because to be able to be present when that happens is a gift, and it's an unearned gift, right? It's something I don't feel like I deserve to be there when that happens. I don't deserve to be there when children come to me with hard things or have great celebrations, but somehow I have found myself in the place where I'm there when it happens. And yeah, so and then I always question, did I really have anything to do with that clicking, or was I just the one fortunate enough to get to set the table for it to take place? And so I mean that humbling in the best sense of the word, but just I'm awed, A-W-E, awed by it. I'm also O-D-D, but awed by that that experience, and it doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah.
So to be present when it does is really it's a joy. Yeah.
So
What a great
a
question.
follow-up question to that is,
Yeah.
have you ever realized you were teaching someone something you needed to hear yourself?
Oh, yes. I'll give you one quick example.
Okay.
There's a phrase I came up with years ago. It goes like this: say what you mean without saying it mean. That means you get to tell the truth.
Yeah.
And sometimes that truth can be hard, right? But there's a way to tell that truth with some kindness and some beauty so that it's still the truth you need to tell, but it's not intended to wound the other person. I've even made a song called Say What You Mean Without Saying It Mean. And the kids right now we're in the middle of learning that song here in Children's, and they're just, say what you mean without saying it mean, if you know what I mean. And I'm like, I need to hear that all the time
Yeah.
because I still struggle with it.
Yeah, me too. I still, okay, this is really off topic, but on topic of your music, I still remember this is the Bible.
Very good.
It's still ingrained in my brain.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I sometimes I'll find myself singing it, and I'm not even here anymore because
Oh.
we're so far away now.
Yeah.
So it's like I can't come here easily, but I remember the
Oh.
and I'm like, okay.
That makes me very happy.
Yeah.
I love that.
Um.
I know a children's minister is probably supposed to say things like God or love or people. And I think I'm not done exploring that. So, and trying to get at what's most essential. I don't know.
Okay, and then my last question to you is, what does community mean to you?
Lots of things. There's no, it means a sense of belonging,
Yeah.
connection, an invitation that goes beyond acceptance. You know, it's one thing to accept someone as if it's my place to either accept or deny someone else their humanity or their place here, but it's there's something more to it than that. There's a reaching out that is there's a curiosity, I think, is really important. You know, when we're so certain of everything, of who we are and what the boundaries that define our community, I think that's when we're forgetting what community is. And it's that sense of curiosity, I think, that helps keep a community vibrant, healthy, again, the word humble, grace-filled. There's just, all that.
That's all I have
What do
to
you
say.
think?
Oh, what I think?
Huh? Yeah.
I actually really agree. I think community is all about accepting and a sense of belonging and just finding, like, I guess, how you fit in, but also how you want others to feel.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's all I have.
And hold on till you find your people. The people are out there. It took me till college before I found my people. I haven't figured out how to use her yet
Oh, yeah?
in worship, but this is a octopus named Octavia.
Oh, I
And
love
those
her.
are all neckties.
Awesome.
Yeah, one on the bottom or top and one on the bottom. And she's going to be an opera singer. I haven't quite figured out how to wedge her in yet, but I'm going to give her some long eyelashes too and maybe a tiara so she can be fancy.